The world's getting louder, riskier, and less private. Your money, if it's sitting in a domestic bank account or just floating in the digital ether, might be more exposed than you think. So how do the ultra wealthy protect their assets when everything feels uncertain? Simple. They go offshore. Today's episode unpacks the strategies on offshore wealth protection and why it might be the smartest move you haven't made yet. Welcome to the Panama Podcast, from dreaming to doing. I'm your host, Melissa Darnay. If you want insider tips on living, investing, and having a blast in Panama, go to choosepanama.com and snag your free copy of Panama Uncorked. Today's guests are two men who operate at the intersection of wealth, freedom, and security. Francis Hunt is the founder of The Market Sniper, a macro trader, technical analyst, and educator with a clear focus on wealth building, wealth preservation, and security freedom. He helps thousands of people around the world sharpen their timing, protect their capital, and navigate financial markets with precision. Joining him is Mike Brown, the director of Fort Kobe Vaults in Panama, a high-security storage facility for physical wealth like gold, silver, and critical documents. Mike works with clients across the globe who want to move part of their portfolio out of digital systems and into hard assets they can actually control. Together, my two guests bring two essential perspectives, one from the screen, spotting the trends and risks ahead, and one from the vault, building real-world protection when those risks become real. Gentlemen, welcome to the Panama Podcast. Cheers.
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 Thank you.
Since this topic is new to a lot of people, let's start with some fundamentals. What does offshore wealth protection really mean, and what's the biggest myth around it? Francis, let's start with you.
It's an empirical part of wealth management for anyone. And I would say some of the biggest attack vectors are the ones that you face at home. The legal jurisdiction, Melissa, for example, in the United States or the United Kingdom. Some of the things that have been thrown out, capital gains taxes, unrealized capital gains taxes, wealth taxes for those that are departing a country. A lot of laws are being mooted right now on account of companies, governments running out of money, because the debt markets can't be relied on to be a bottomless overdraft anymore. Interest rates are climbing, debt as an asset class is devaluing, and what we're actually facing at the moment is almost a Western hegemony crisis, which focuses immensely, obviously, on the USA, but also encompasses Europe, right from Australia, Canada as well. So it's time to start thinking about a plan outside of the jurisdiction of typical Western markets.
Mike, who's the typical person seeking offshore solutions today, and how has that changed in the last 5 years?
There's been a tremendous amount of change in the type of client we've seen over the last few years. If you look back pre-2020, most of our clients would be your baby boomers, typically 55 plus, high net worth individuals. Very, very few of the young folks get involved. I think that the biggest change we've seen is the younger generation, the crypto generation, who's been getting involved recently. So we've got clients from all over the world. We've got a lot of clients that are actually, as you mentioned earlier, that are getting out of the countries, that are introducing all these taxes, the wealth taxes, the exit taxes, things like that. So initially, I'd say in about 2017, the majority of our clients were American and Canadian. That's changed substantially now. They probably total between the two of them about 60% of our client base, with a lot more Europeans in the last few years.
If you would give a little bit of a 20-second or 30-second overview of what your business does, because I think a lot of people may not understand it.
Yeah, with pleasure. Fort Kobe Vaults, basically we store precious metals. We focus on gold and silver, but we do have other platinum, palladium, rhodium, and we store here in Panama in the free trade zone, in the Panama Pacific.
So people ship it, if they have it in the United States or Canada, they ship it to you.
Correct.
And then store it there.
We help them with the logistics of the shipping. We can move it from wherever. We don't deal with Africa generally and a lot of the South American countries because the shipping and the logistics tends to be very difficult. But we can help clients either with the shipping, logistics, moving it in or out, or they can purchase through partner sites of ours and have it delivered directly into the vaults here in Panama.
Okay, great. And what do you think makes Panama attractive both from a market and a legal standpoint?
Well, from my perspective, particularly if you're thinking of a US-Canadian market-based, similar timeline, attractive to visit climatically, sufficient Western-styled infrastructure to support you. So, robust banking system. It's on the dollar-based system, which is something the world is very familiar, not just this timeline. And then generally, a stability, an area of stability in Latin America, along with Uruguay. You would typically say these are fulcrums of stability politically. I think the association with the canal, which is so significant from a trades perspective, invariably as it's almost a global asset of use that has to function. So there is no tolerance for whichever political party of the day may be current flavor of the month. No tolerance for messing with the world trade system that is for which this is such a bottleneck. And so the ships must flow, and thereby there's an inherent stability to it generally.
And I like the fact that Panama has a territorial tax system so that if you make the money here, you're taxed here. If you don't make the money here, you're not taxed here. So unlike a lot of countries where you're taxed wherever you live, you're only taxed if you make the money here.
Very beneficial aspect. I mean, I didn't get into the financials. They're just talking at the government level, but that is one of the reasons why I and our team have chosen to physically locate our company. So, we're drinking our own vampire juice, if you'll allow the phrase, in terms of that which we preach for others to do. And we're benefiting immensely from that. The tax efficiency is a huge, huge thing. And as I mentioned in my first answer, there is a scavenge mode that is being invoked by Western governments on account of excessive expenditure that's run out of runway to continue. And this leads to more totalitarianism, more direct, aggressive taxation of citizens, where previously they were taxing you on over expenditure via the debt and bond markets. The leeway to do that to the same degree in rising interest rate environments has changed that immensely. So it's not a question of should you be doing it, it's why haven't you done it yet, and let's get started for me.
Mike, back to you. When you're talking to global clients about their trust or lack of it for their home country systems, what are you hearing?
I think the single biggest answer to that question that we're hearing from clients is the fear of confiscation. There is precedence with it in the States and Canada, and I would never have, pre-2020, if you'd said to me, what are the odds of confiscation? Again, I would have said very, very low. It's much easier to tax a metal than to actually confiscate it, collect it, do all of that. But there have been a lot of recent changes. I don't know if you've been watching what's happening in the silver market with the scarcity of silver within COMEX. China passed a law recently which, in order to export silver out of China, you actually have to have a special license for every shipment. And now the States, they've just put the silver onto the critical metals list in the US. And I also have the concerns in the future we're going to see this export taxation or a complete export restriction on silver. So generally that's the most common question we're seeing at the moment from people is they're worried that they're not going to be able to get their wealth out of the countries, be able to move freely with their wealth.
And that is a concern. What are you seeing from macro signals right now that people need that asset protection?
There's a rotation geographically in global wealth, actually, that's taking place. And it is, I think it was Mike and maybe yourself, Melissa, that mentioned trust. The Western hegemony is losing trust on its fiat and debt-based system.
And if you would, I know a lot of people don't understand, if they're not in the financial industry, they may not understand fiat. Would you explain that?
So it's a faith-based piece of paper that you hold when you hold up a dollar. It's inherently used to have an exchange promise for a certain amount of gold. And now that was removed under Nixon. The final tie was 71 under Nixon, but it had already began to be whittled away at. And now we're essentially on we're good for it basis. What tends to happen is that. And then the US has become such a proliferator of notes on a faith, trust us, we're good for it, big defense, all of these aspects, that they've built such an excessive debt. And they've been running incredible trade deficits. What that means is they bring more European products in than they sell to Europe. They bring more Chinese products in than they sell to Europe. And they continue to run these deficits. And they throw in the opposite direction as their countervailing product these paper derivatives, which are fiat, dollars, which they encourage nations to buy debt instruments in. And what's actually happening is the debt markets turned, their 40-year bull market turned in 2020 as a result of the proliferation of fiat in the CV19 period, which was huge. And as a result, the other nations aren't wanting to receive that as a counter product anymore, and they're opting for gold, silver, and bullion. This leaves America with a hard stop that they're facing. So if you're an American or a North American, that could include obviously Canadian, and of course Europe is not far different. I'm not selling them as a bastion of good conduct. They're in a very similar state. They're just not the hegemony. You're going to find draconian governments, aggressive taxation policies, austerity, a reduction in services, a lot of things, and potentially looking for conflicts as well, which we should get into. So the outcome, wars typically coincide with these financial situations as well. So from a point of view of your sons, and I would still say your daughters too, it's certainly worth your while extending your footprint beyond the Western hegemony and having a place. And Panama is a short stop away, from Miami Airport. It's a great first look place for someone in the North Americas, and it's also convenient and well served in flights for Europeans and Australasians as well.
What do you think the difference is between protecting your money and your assets and hiding it?
Well, hiding it's a very, very different thing. And I think in this day and age, it's actually become incredibly difficult. And one of my big fears going forward is the tokenization of assets. Germany's going down this route, and I think we're going to see it worldwide.
Explain what you mean by that for people not in this industry.
Basically, every asset, like Germany, the way they're pushing it is every asset that you own. For example, you have a watch that's worth something, or you have a gold coin, or you have artwork. They want to tokenize it. And by doing that, they have the absolute control and tracking of every movement of that item. If you sell it, how much it was sold for, and it's on the blockchain. So it's, in theory, you can't hide your assets. So I think hiding is actually a thing of the past, and everything is tracked when it's moved. It's more about protecting, and the best way to do that is through jurisdictions now, and looking at the jurisdictions that will give you some kind of protection against government, against confiscation, things like that. Now, if you don't mind me jumping in on that, one of the things that we do have in Panama, which is pretty unique and tells me a lot about the risk assessment by the insurance companies. We're underwritten by Lloyd's of London, and Lloyd's of London will actually offer our clients what's called political risk insurance. It's not cheap, it's expensive. It's about 3.75% of the value of the asset per year. But what it means is that if there is a confiscation by government or through military action or something like that, you are actually insured against it being confiscated. And it's one of the very few places in the world that you can get that. They won't even issue it in the States because there's precedence. So when I see that Lloyd's is confident enough to do that and to issue this type of insurance, it gives me a good feeling about Panama because their risk assessment is saying that that's a very low probability here.
Exactly. We don't even have a military here.
Touch wood. That's a very good thing, and that leads on to the political stability.
And do you think offshore wealth protection is only for the rich, or do you think the middle class can get in on this?
Yeah, it's something for everybody. The sooner you start, the better. And in fact, some of these things take time to develop, and your profile is changing over time, particularly if you're positioned in good quality monetary metals or physical assets unleveraged, which are appreciating. So my overall macro take is we're also in Ernest Hemingway's curve of convexity in debasement of fiat. His bankruptcy description was slowly at first and then suddenly very fast when asked how it came about. And In the same way, our fiat's buying power has been eroded slowly at first, and we are in the escalating, suddenly very fast stage. And this is being illustrated by the recent movements of the gold price specifically. And I encourage everyone to value themselves in terms of gold ounces. I'm saying the basis and measure of account is not a dollar, a Canadian loonie, a pound and a euro anymore. That you're going to see and ask the housewives and the ladies that are checking out, or the men that are doing the household purchasing, that happens too, what's happening at the till. And quite clearly that the inflation rate that you're hearing about is not really reflective of your experience on cost of living. So with that understood, as a middle class person, you stand to be squeezed the most. The billionaires get the state-based bailouts as welfare, and the low end gets welfare as welfare. The middle class, this podcast and this message starts with the middle class in mind, and it climbs up to the high net worth that are not part of the privileged billionaire class. But the only thing inflation does is it impoverishes the masses, except for the billionaire classes, who typically have debt that gets devalued away and have secured massive amounts of physical assets or companies and concerns that appreciate. So they benefit out of this. And we're in the squeeze part of this. So everybody needs to be thinking about this, that is hearing this podcast.
And what do you think the first step is for someone who wants to take that first step to move some of their wealth offshore? And I'm going to go both of you because you have different takes on this. So Mike, let's start with you.
I'm actually going to boost on Francis here. One of the first steps is to get very much involved with what Francis offers, so learning about trading, all these other options. And then from our side is to actually get into the physical metals. And you asked before, what's a minimum? There is no minimum really. We hear from a lot of the clients, I can't afford gold at the moment because the price is so high. You don't have to buy gold. There's silver. Start, even if it's a coin a month. It's gone up in the last couple of weeks. Last 2 months, it's gone from $30 up to $58 today. But there is no late time to get in, and you don't have to buy it all at once. Average in over time, so that your average cost on it is not excessive. You can keep averaging in. So if it goes up and it goes down, you're not paying the extremes, you're paying an average.
Mm-hmm. Francis?
Yeah, well, I'll return the compliment. We actually have Bullion Vault for people that are at small levels. So if you're watching this and you're still starting out, you may be a young age, and you start stacking an ounce a month, you can do that on what I call the internet gold solution of Bullion Vault until you get to a reasonable size. Some bullion dealers don't want to deal with you if you're just coming with a $50 purchase. But once you've got, say, 5,000 in Bullion Vault, you can sell that off. You will have benefited from the upside in it. And then you can come to someone like Mike and their solution, and it's one I've consumed myself as well. So there's nothing here I'll put forward that I haven't been shared already, is they're buying from a known, trusted American bullion dealer, such as Scottsdale, Arizona, help me with it, Scottsdale Mint in Arizona. So, if you're coming from the US or Canada, you'll certainly know these people. They do a lot of PAMP and the Swiss bars even. So they are universally large, and they'll look after all the logistical elements that will bring that down registered here in Panama. And if you let them handle the purchasing, in fact, it's Fort Kobe who's made the purchase, not you yourself and your name. So I'm referring that a little bit back to your previous question about legally hidden versus doing something that is a bend of the law. So some of my purchases have actually been quite validly hidden because I resourced Mike and his team at Fort Kobe to procure physical assets. So in America, it was a Fort Kobe purchase. Down here, where it's vaulted in my name, it can be my trust, my foundation, or my name personally. And we've done family members. There's other people right here, not in shot, that have also gone ahead on my recommendation for using services such as Mike's.
And you brought up a good point. Panama has the corporation and the foundation that are great tools for protecting your money. And again, not hiding it, but protecting it. Whereas, for a couple different reasons. One, so that maybe people don't know that you have it. Two, for, when you pass, it allows you to have that done easily.
Seamlessly.
I was a young widow in my 30s, and I did not know how to be a widow because no one teaches a class, like how to do this. I think a lot of times once you get to 80 or 90, you've planned for it, you've prepared for it, so you know what you're going to do. But if something happens when you're young, you don't know what to do. I had to go through probate in my 30s, in my own country, in my own language. Imagine trying to go through probate in a different country, in a different language, in a country that's not your own. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the tools that Panama offers.
It's a taxable event in many countries as well. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a death tax. That's what they call the inheritance tax, a death tax. The foundations don't die. You know,
That's
trusts
right.
don't die. So you never have that event. So minimizing that for your heirs, especially if you're in the 40s going on later years, you want to think about that, passing how you'll pass it on. Hopefully nothing untoward happens, and long may it exist. But in that event, you're not leaving immediately your family with your widow experience.
That's right.
Suddenly you have to go through a probate process. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not discussed in marriages and relationships as much as people imagine.
It should be.
And the wife doesn't know where the husband's money is and everything like that. While there's no such scramble if the assets are retained in good vaulting services through structures. So I'd certainly say there's scope for that.
And I also like it because the trust or the corporation is a Panamanian citizen. So
Correct.
It's not an American citizen. It's not a UK citizen. You don't have to necessarily tell your government because the company is a different citizen. We get a lot of people who buy real estate who purchase it because of the same reason. They want to diversify and protect their assets. And I would say that's always been, since I've been in Panama doing real estate, that's been 90% of my business is the plan B, put a little bit of money down here extra.
Well, as you know, we introduced you to Lynette Zhang, who's US-based,
Yes.
very popular in the precious metal space very specifically. And she has a reset out in the rural areas of Arizona space as well as a normal living space. And she came and chose Panama. And, she's tied up with potentially Mike for her future vaulting as a major precious metals investor and holder as well. So other people have walked this path. I think it's important for anyone watching this. You're not having to cut your way through the jungle here. You know, there's been some pathfinders here for you. And it's amazing when you get to the other side is we've started to get quite a social community of people, and a large amount of them are actually expats from various nations, including American, Canadian, and other Europeans since we are here. Like yourself, Melissa.
Yeah. We actually met in Cyprus. So we've known each other for a long time. And it turned out we were both residents of Panama meeting in Cyprus.
Yeah.
So now you talk about putting hard assets. Francis, do you personally do that too? You put your hard assets
100%,
here?
yes. So in terms of buying real estate, which is very much your game, and in physical metals, which is very much my game, and Michael's, I'm an aggressive accumulator of the physical metals, the monetary metals, as I say. This is the epoch of physical metals, by the way. I just want to add a little belt onto this. People will be told, they'll talk to a friend and say, oh, but it's gone up a lot, it's a bubble, don't buy, this sort of thing. And I will tell you that this is really just beginning. We've had a financialization of everything cycle. You go into the States, you can take out a mortgage on a car for buying 40% of it and then have a balloon payment. I mean, that's where we're at nowadays. This is debt and fiat creation gone mad. And unfortunately, a lot of that's going to go down, and there's going to be a lot of financialized assets that can go down a great deal. Gold and silver are not financialized. People don't take mortgages out for gold bars or silver coins. And the key thing is they have real scarcity, and we've reached the end of the runway in terms of silver's availability above ground. So we're seeing a chronic move, and I'm exceedingly bullish silver. That can be purchased. It can be vaulted here outside the jurisdiction in an entity that is not directly yourself and can be purchased on your behalf by Fort Kobe and vaulted in your name or your trust name down here. And that will outlive you for your heirs. So it's a super powerful epoch, and that strategy is going to hold people very well in wealth preservation, building wealth, preserving it, and also securing you financial freedoms and a global footprint outside of good old USA.
And estate planning.
And I have a question.
Of course.
So I buy gold and silver and I put it in your vault. How do I visit it? How do I access it? Is it like a safe deposit box? If this episode is giving you something to think about, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.
So we actually have 2 vaults within the setup. The first vault is only safety deposit boxes, and we open every Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We also...
I could go pet it.
Of course, you come and pet your rocks. But we also understand that most of our clients are international clients, and they're often just passing through Panama. So if you give us notification ahead of time and say, listen, my flight just happens to be on Saturday afternoon, I'm flying to Ecuador, as long as you give us a notification during the week and say, I need to get in, we can arrange that. We reset the time locks and we can accommodate that type of thing. And we also have the second vault, which is an open, allocated, and fully segregated storage. Now, we only store in this particular manner where every single client gets a specific location and all assets are fully assigned to their account. The client gets a full breakdown of the inventory, all of those things. And the client, as Francis knows, you're welcome to come in, pet your rocks whenever you want. Or if you have a third-party company that you'd like to do an independent audit, you're welcome to do that type of thing as well.
How is it guaranteed? Is there insurance?
We have insurance underwritten by Lloyd's of London.
Okay.
We have an insurance cap of $200 million. And we actually still, as of our insurance renewal this year, we're still the only vault worldwide that's underwritten by Lloyd's of London that's insured at replacement cost. What this means, for example, if you have a coin that went missing in January, they go back to the date of January and they see, okay, gold was $1,800 an ounce. Normally the insurance company will pay you out that $1,800 that was on the day of the event. With Lloyd's, they'll actually say, okay, you had one gold eagle. They'll go to market, they'll find the gold eagle, they'll purchase it or the next nearest equivalent. They will then ship it to Panama, fully insured, pay all the duties, all the costs to put that coin back in your hand here in Panama.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's important detail, isn't it?
That's a really important detail. Buying real estate in Panama isn't like buying back home. What you don't know can cost you. Before you search for properties online that might or might not be as advertised, go to choosepanama.com/contact and schedule a free 30-minute call. Our white glove service takes the stress out of buying abroad. I want to switch gears for a minute. Francis, this question's going to be for you. What are the most common mistakes people make when trying to move their wealth offshore?
I think they try to do too much too soon. The key part is more about getting started than trying to have the master plan. The first thing is high trust, new selected jurisdiction, for which I would say Panama offers you that. Then you need the appropriate partners to do various things. So you have to piece together people. It probably requires you to take a holiday and a visit and to meet some people. I like to kick the wheels of a future purchase. You don't buy a car from offline. You go down to the lot. And as Mike was mentioning, I have confidence in him because I've been there. I can schedule at quite short notice and be left into the back of the vault and go hold. I actually have a few pictures holding 1,000-ounce bars with Michael helping me lug them up just for the fun of it. And when I've made new purchases, I come on by. Sometimes I collect some of the items to have out of the vault. I don't think you should have 100% everything in vault. But certainly from a security perspective point of view, it helps to have a trusted party, particularly one not in the banking system, not taking any politically exposed parties, and in that unique Panama Pacifico area, which actually has a great jurisdictional element. It's a free trade zone, and it's in the interest. It has its own police force as well. So those are some details. Don't try to do too much. Start learning from what other people have already learned. Don't hack your own way through the jungle. There are some dark operators around as well. And if you think you're just going to get the phone book and start dialing up, you're going to make a mistake. Who's established? Who have other people used without any blowback or any points of concern? Police checks, things that Mike has done actually with all his clients before he even takes them on. You have to make sure the money he's receiving is good. And he does the same with other bullion dealers. There are people to be avoided without getting into specifics. So that's the thing. Look at the established knowledge with long-standing players. New businesses always have a cautionary. Long-standing players in their industry. These guys have been in their game for, multitude of decades. How many years have you been in Panama?
Built the vault in 2013. Well, I've been here since 2007.
Yeah.
We actually built the vault in 2013, and then we did the complete rebranding in 2017.
Yeah.
Based on what he said, I just have so many questions that I'm sure my listeners have too. First of all, how is Panama Pacifico, which is the tax-free zone, how important is this in what you do in the location?
Honestly, the tax-free element of it is not really the most important element for us. It's more about the security of the zone. And we assessed the zone. We assessed Panama. We assessed the zones. We assessed the world. And the security of the zone is actually what got it there. But the bonded storage part of it is often a very important element to a lot of our international clients, because a lot of our clients will never, ever come to Panama. So for them, Panama introduced in 2018, on the 1st of April, they introduced import duties on gold and silver. So they put a 5% import duty on gold, a 5% on silver legal tender coins, and a 10% on bullion. So if the client is never, ever going to physically withdraw them from the vaults in Panama, instead of paying all these import duties and things like that, we store it bonded. And then when it comes time to sell, we'll ship it out to outside of the country, and they're never exposed to the tax element of the country. So that's there, but again, that was definitely not our most important consideration. It came down to the safety of the Panama Pacifico Free Trade Zone.
Okay. And now when Francis just said, so you do background checks, criminal background checks on all of your clients?
Every single client, and you're welcome to do the same on us.
Okay.
But in fact, as I very much agree with what Francis said, before you do something to prevent mistakes, go visit everyone, go tire kick, talk to everyone, get all the questions that you want, ask all the questions, and know exactly who you're dealing with on every level.
That's great advice. Mike, final words.
Of course.
If you had one piece of advice for listeners about how they could consider Panama, whether it's a plan B for gold, maybe it's coming to visit, maybe it's moving here, maybe it's investing in real estate, what would that one piece of advice be?
I would come down here and spend a lot of time. Panama just has so much to offer. And the security side of Panama, if you look on a world scale at the moment, probably one of the safest jurisdictions to be in legally, physically, all of those. Come and spend time.
I feel like so many people are lured by the beaches and the rainforests, but what makes us stay is the security and the geopolitical stability and the territorial taxation, things like that. Back to you, same question.
If you're in the North Americas, you absolutely need to diversify your avatar of presence. And this is probably the most stable, most optionality choices-wise that you can have for wealth preservation, wealth growth, and sustaining freedoms that you've become accustomed to that you may actually be losing in the not-too-distant future. If you understand that, then Panama should be one of the first places you visit. And as Michael has suggested, spend some time. And it so helps to talk to people like us and Michael that have already walked this walk and are used to showing new people the way and avoiding the pitfalls and landmines, because there's still always challenges, snakes and ladders, in every move that you make. And you're at your most naive and uninformed when you come as a newbie for the first time. So it's very important to have trusted partners around you.
Francis, if someone wants to learn more about what you do or get in contact with you, how do they do that?
So the Market Sniper YouTube is our kickoff point. Thank you for giving us that opportunity, by the way, Melissa. And thank you to everyone watching this. And please subscribe and support Melissa's channel. I would certainly say it's going to be worthwhile. Come down and check us out. There's opportunities to call our onboarding team inside our YouTube channels, how we do what we do, people where we purchase precious metals from, which will extend once community members to vaulting services like Mike's that I personally use. So get in touch on the Market Sniper or follow us on X under the Market Sniper as well.
And Mike, same question. How do people learn more and how do they get in contact with you?
The easiest is through our website, which is fortkobevaults.com, or just email us, info@fkmpa.com. Again, we're available, and I really appreciate the time that and the opportunity to present here with you.
And if you don't have your pen handy right now, I'm going to go ahead and put those in the show notes so you'll have it handy whenever you want. As you can see, offshore wealth protection isn't just a financial tactic. It's a shift toward control, resilience, and long-term thinking. Whether it's reading the charts or locking away tangible assets, the message is clear. Don't wait for a crisis to start protecting what you've built. If today's conversation has sparked new questions or confirmed old instincts, take it as your cue to act now, not someday, but right now. As always, leave your comments below. Thank you for joining us. See you in Panama. Cheers.
Cheers.